Right on. Okay, let's go and find the stream. Hopefully it won't be too far away. Hopefully. There it is then. So the stream's up, the chat's up. The audio working as it should? Yes, it is. So everything is working as it should. Rightio, hello and welcome everyone to round 11 of the PlayStation Pacific Elite Series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Everingham, your lead commentator for this event, and we're back. And this time, we're at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. Built in 1959 and first used in Formula One in 1962, Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, in its current form, is a 4.3 kilometer 17-turn circuit, with Jax doing a bit of showboating in front of the Mexican crowd there. It's quite a unique layout, as it consists of long straights in the first sector, as Jax is about to demonstrate here. It's got fast sweepers in the second sector. It's got a tight, twisty arena section that Jax spun out in the final sector. It's going to be tough to get the setup absolutely right for the race, with drivers having to find the balance between raw straight line speed and speed carried through the fast turns. They need to find balance between the car being stable enough to get through the high-speed S section in one piece, but unstable enough so then their car can react and turn quickly through some of the tight bends around the circuit, like the bends that Jax is going through here. Definitely something for the drivers to think about before they go out and start qualifying. For me personally, as a fan of the sport, I've always had a bit of a gripe with this circuit. Sometimes I feel that parts of the circuit are a bit of a missed opportunity. But as a commentator, I've seen great dramatic races here, so hopefully we get to see one for tonight. But first, a little bit of news from last week. There were 2 incident reports from last week in Hungary, both resulting in no further action, so the results stand at Hungary. Looking at the Drivers' Championship, Jax, on screen, leading the way on 263 points, followed by iContrast, who's currently on an outlap, excuse me, on 223 points. So 40 points separating the top 2. And realistically, they're the only 2 drivers fighting in the championship, as ACW, who was 3rd, is on 148 points. He's 115 behind Jax and 75 behind iContrast. So yeah, it's looking like a 2-horse race. There is a fight between him and Plevs for 3rd place in the championship, with Plevs on 141 points, just 7 behind ACW. Hilles is in 5th place, so 4th and 5th for McLaren. They're doing pretty well. Pump 46 is in P6, followed by GeForce Zach. Ferrari Pro in 8th, Isaac Kush in 9th, and BPV8 rounding out the top 10. In the constructors, Aston Martin are leading on 314 points, followed by Alpine, as Jack spins out again, this time at turn 11. He's not having a great day, is he? Or at least a great start to the session. Spinning out a lot. Yes, Alpine are second on 289 points, followed by McLaren, then AlphaTauri, Mercedes-Benz, Red Bull, Haas, Ferrari, Williams, then Alfa Romeo at the bottom of the table. But that's it in terms of news, and hello everyone, make sure you make yourselves known in the chat. I'm always happy to talk, especially if there's not much going on, but there is plenty going on at the moment in qualifying. Hello Ferrari Pro, all dry. Thank you for the weather report, so we shouldn't see any wet weather then. For the race, which is always good to hear. Dry races are always better. And hello, KD. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Couple of drivers on the medium tyre, as you kind of expect. The strategy around here tends to be quite interesting. It's typically a 2-stop around here in Mexico. There's several variations of the 2-stop you can do. For the drivers qualifying on the soft tyre, they can try and do a soft, medium, soft, or a soft, soft, medium race. Drivers trying to qualify on the medium tyre, they're trying to do a medium, soft, soft race, which proved to be the dominant strategy in Pacific Tier 1. So I'm sure a few of these drivers who competed in that race, or at least watch that race, know about that strategy and understand how powerful it can be if executed correctly. Plebs making his way through the first sector, currently on the medium tyre, exiting turn 3. Up towards turn 4 as BPV8 has left the session. Not a bad overtaking spot at turn 4, though I imagine we'll see most of the action happen at turn 1. Exiting turn 5 around this unique double right-hand hairpin of turn 6. Pump jumps to the top of the table. Plebs lets eye contrast through, who I don't think is on a flying lap. Oh no, he is. He is. It just didn't really look like it from Plebs onboard. He didn't really look like he was pushing, but he was pushing. Through the former baseball stadium, as Hillers has crashed out. He is crashed at turn 9. You can see the orange dot stationary there on the minimap. Eye contrast comes up to the line, jumps up to pole position. Let's see here, an Alpine. Jax it has to be. Ah, bugger. We just missed it. But I think I saw tyre marks there. Pretty sure I saw some tyre marks. Let's have a look. Pumper's going slow enough. Yeah, I don't know if they're normally on the track. But there's definitely a few tyre marks there. Heading in that sort of direction where the car would end up into the wall. So that's really unfortunate for Hillers, who is 5th in the championship. Be starting towards the back. Potentially starting at the very back unless someone else retires or gets disqualified. It's also an option. Plebs up by almost 2/10 in the first sector. Exiting turn 11, it's quite a tricky S section. In fact, I will go as far as to say it's probably the trickiest S section on the calendar. It's really, really tough to get right. You have to be very committed, right on the edge, on both track limits and on grip. So if you make a mistake, it can be incredibly costly, and on a pad it's an absolute nightmare to go through. Plebs jumps up to P3, setting a 1:15.854. P3 on the medium tyre. There's plenty of time left in the session to try and improve that. Whether he'll do it on that set of mediums or perhaps on a set of softs is yet to be known. I suppose we'll find out towards the end of quali. BP getting ready. Same with ACW and Isaac Kush. Interesting to see how these drivers fare. Jax has invalidated. Will he complete this lap or duck into the pits? He'll go into the pits and take out a bollard in the process. The BP setting off on a flying lap. We'll take advantage of this. We'll ride on board. Take you on a tour of this 4.3 kilometre 17 turn circuit. An incredibly long pitch straight towards turn 1, hitting speeds of over 320 kilometres an hour. Brings it down to third gear, keeps it in third for turn 2 and for turn 3. Invalidates at turn 3, just cutting a little bit too much there. Go on board with ACW, he's just behind. Also starting a flying lap. Opens DRS, heading towards turn 4. Hitting 310 kilometres an hour. Through turn 4, the back end stepping out there, the rear's locking up, but he gathers it up nicely. Around turn 6, nice and steady on the throttle there, very gentle, keeps it within the white lines. Now the high speed S section, turn 7, 8, 9, then 10 and 11. You have to try and keep it committed through here, and he does. Really good stuff from ACW. Heading up towards turn 12, gets on the brakes, brings it down to 4th gear, chucks it in. Nails the corner, around the hairpin, turn 13, then 14 and 15. Exiting the arena section, coming around turn 16, and he's going to go into the pits. Interesting. So instead of completing the lap, he bails, goes back into the pit lane. But you see how committed he was through the S's, keeping it absolutely pinned through turns 10 and 11. You have to be very, very committed. So incredibly easy to make a mistake. But he didn't. Still chose to bail out of the lap, which is interesting to see. Perhaps he might be going to try to qualify on the medium tyres. Roscoe Arm jumps up to second place, setting a 1 minute 15.389. The only driver in the 14 at the moment is High Contrast on pole position with a 1:14.989. Currently exactly 4 tenths ahead of Roscoe Arm in P2. Around turn 1, through turn 2, then turn 3, really cutting as much as you can. Didn't run too wide on the exit there. Just used a little bit of the outside curb. Sector 1 says he's down by 73 thousandths of a second. See if he can find any more time. BP V8 has jumped up to 4th place on the medium tyre. There's a Williams getting out of the way. That must be Anthro in P8. Through the S's. Nice and tidy. Can he keep it pinned? Yes, he can. Keeps it within the white lines too. What does the Sector 2 time say? He's up by 73 thousandths of a second. So he's found effectively a 10th in the middle sector. Through the stadium section now. Having to be very, very careful through here. Be gentle with the throttle. Coming around the final corner. Getting the power down as early as you can. Keeps it narrow. Crosses the line. Improves by just under a tenth and a half. Setting a 1 minute 14.844. Roscoe Arm going into the pits. BP will be doing the same. Keeg has invalidated. Anthro coming in. Izzat. Low on fuel. I don't think Izzat's on a flying lap. We got Sector 3 yellows. That must be BP running out of fuel. Medium tyres on the AlphaTauri. So I was right. Instead of completing that first flying lap on the soft tyre, he bailed out of it. He's chucked on the medium tyre. See what the youngster can do on the compound. Current fastest time on the mediums is BPV8 with a 15.4. Plevs is just behind, position-wise, but time-wise, he's almost 4 tenths behind. P5. Ferrari coming out to the pits, that's Tinselman. Into turn 1. 4th gear, brings it down to 3rd gear, maybe overcooks turn 1 a little bit. Oh, dearie me. Had a big, big moment, he's bailed out of the lap. Hiller's situation. Well, Lafarge, I think that's how you spell your name, say your name. He crashed out at turn 9. He just simply lost control through the S section. And he ended up hitting the barrier. We're coming up to it now. He ended up hitting the left-hand side barrier here near the DHL signage. It's not like he had a qualifying ban or anything. But he will be starting potentially at the back. So long as ACW sets a lap time and nobody gets disqualified, then Hilles will be starting from 15th place. Alright, ACW. He's going to have another go. And he has set a lap time. 23.0. Definitely not competitive. Coming up towards turn 1. Tinselman's about to complete... Oh, sorry, that's not Tinselman. That's Ferrari Pro. That's the wrong Ferrari who was about to complete the first sector. Tinselman has just started a flying lap. Up towards the first sector split for ACW. Up by 1.3 seconds. Coming through turn 5. Then around the hairpin of turn 6. Brings it down to 3rd gear. Short shifting to 4th to find the traction. Down towards the S's. Turn 7. Turn 8. Turn 9. Very nice and tidy. Bit of a lift there. Went to about 90% throttle to just maintain control of the car. Through the stadium section now. Turn 13, the hairpin, first gear. Hits the apex pretty nicely, actually. Very tidy arena section there from ACW. Keeps it narrow around the final corner, lights it up on the exit, crosses the line, 5th fastest for ACW. So not the quickest out of the medium runners, but not a bad lap. And Tinselman has jumped up to P6 with a 15.6. He's only 1/100th of a second behind ACW. High contrast on a flying lap, our current pole setter. Few drivers, they've got the soft tyre on their car, including BPV8, who is currently in 4th place. He set that time on the mediums, but he's currently on the soft tyre on track. Yellow flags, probably just slow cars getting out of the way, I imagine. I think. Through turn 5, around the hairpin of 6. Nice and tidy from high contrast. Up towards the S section. Through turn 7, he invalidates. A costly invalidation. Oh, he does have enough time left in the session, right? Because I couldn't quite tell with the yellow flag indicator. I didn't know how much time he had left, but he does have enough time to set another flying lap. Very lucky. Ferrari Pro has improved up to P3 with a 15.4. Pump, he's bailed out of a lap, I think. He's going to have another go. BP, as ACW retires in the pits, his qualifying is over. He's on a flying lap on the soft tyre, heading up towards the first sector split. What does it say for the Haas driver? Up by 0.2 of a second. He needs to find roughly 0.6 if he wants pole position. Around turn 6. It's a nice exit in 3rd gear. Tinselman's session is done. Same with Nick in P10. The high-speed S's. Keeps it pinned. Keeps it within the white lines. A good job there from BP. I think Isaac... No, that's a Mercedes. That's backed out of the lap. That might be Keeg. Exiting the stadium section around the penultimate corner. Then around the final corner. Keeps it narrow, crosses the line, jumps to pole position, finding a whole second on that lap, setting a 1:14.4. High contrast, he was up by 0.2 at the second sector split. Can he retake pole position? Around the final corner, crosses the line. It's a no! Missing out by 15 thousandths of a second. Incredibly close. Roscoe Arm has backed off. Pump has invalidated. Plevs has backed off as well. Believe his best time, yes, there it is. His best lap was set on the medium tyre, so he wants to start on the mediums. Isaac couldn't string a lap together, starting from P14. Fair ways back, but he does get a free choice of tyre, which can be quite beneficial. But incredibly close at the top of the table. 0.015 seconds separating the top two at the end of qualifying here in Mexico City. Those two had a terrific scrap a few races ago back in Suzuka. We might be set for another fantastic battle between these two again. They're clear by just under 0.8 of a second to Ferrari Pro, who will start P3. Roscoe Arm will start P4, so fairly nice qualifying for the Haas team. Pump 46 starts from P5 with ACW on the medium tyre in P6. And Tinselman, Plevs in P8 also on the mediums. Keegan 9th, then Nick rounds out the top 10. Anthro 11th, then Jax, our championship leader. Power side Isaac Kush, then Hilles after crashing out earlier in qualifying will start from the back of the field in 15th place. Ooh. Yeah, very, very close. Very close. Now, strategy is going to be very interesting for tonight. Because you can do quite a few things here at Mexico that may work, that may not work. But I imagine pretty much everybody will be committing to a two-stop strategy of some description. The hard tire is basically useless here in Mexico. It just doesn't have any sort of speed whatsoever. So it's best to avoid it as best you can. The soft tire is ridiculously fast around here. Like ludicrously fast. So that's why the two-stop is just that much better. Session counter, counting down. We'll get to see who started on what tyre for this race here in Mexico. See who's going to commit to what kind of strategy. Right. Get rid of the interval for now. Bring up the tyres. So, it's a fairly interesting mix. Let's run through it. BPV8 on the soft tyre, starting on pole position. He'll have eye contrast alongside, also on the soft tyre. Ferrari Pro, that might just be his best qualifying this season, if I recall correctly. Starting P3, he'll get a nice slipstream from BP heading towards turn 1. Same with Roscoe Arm, P4. He'll get a nice slipstream from eye contrast heading towards turn 1. So maybe turn 1 might be quite interesting, especially if P3 and 4 get really good starts. Pump 46 starts P5 on the soft tyre. Then we got ACW, the first driver on the mediums, and P6. Tunselman in the other Ferrari, P7 on the soft tyre. Got Plevs P8 on a set of mediums. Keegan P9 starting on the soft tyre. Then we've got Nick rounding out the top 10, also on the soft tyre. First driver outside the top 10 is Anthro. He's starting on fresh softs. Jax will start alongside him. He's on the medium compound tyre. His teammate Powersight starts just behind in 13th on the soft tyre. And we have Isaac Kush in P14 and Hilles P15 at the back of the field. Both drivers starting on the medium. So we've got 5 cars on the medium tyre, 10 cars on the softs. Not a bad split. Got 2/3 of the field on the soft tyre, 1/3 on the medium. So it'll be interesting to see which strategy prevails here in Mexico. I can say with confidence that the strategy that prevailed in Pacific Tier 1 was the medium soft strategy. But with the inclusion of safety cars and whatnot, that could spice things up in this field. Who knows what strategy will actually work here tonight. All 15 cars are lined up ready to race here in Mexico. We got 10 red lights. And we are underway here in Mexico City. BP seems to have converted really well off the line. Look at that. Look at the margin he's built already. What a superb start from the Haas driver. Get a load of this too. Best camera shot in F1. My goodness. You see this car scramble into turn 1. Side by side between eye contrast and Ferrari Pro. Spinning is Ferrari Pro. He spins out and drops down to last place. A bit more drama as a Haas has spun out. It's Roscoe Arm. P3 and 4 have dropped down to P14 and 15. But what a start from his teammate, Tinselman, up to P3. He'd be really happy with that. Plevs up into P4. There's a conga line behind. A side-by-side battle here between Jax and Keeg. Jax into P7. Down towards the high-speed S's. Turn 7, all side-by-side. Hilles and Nick, I think. Well, Hilles was a bit off the circuit there. But they get through the high-speed S's in relatively one piece. Is that Kush? He's got Anthro closing in. Anthro backs off there. That's probably wise from the Williams driver. He doesn't need to battle right now. Oh, and a big send from Hilles down the inside of the hairpin. They're side-by-side through turns 14 and 15. And Anthro comes out in front in that little scrap. See there with the position changes. Tinselman up 4 positions. Same with Plebs. Jack's up 5 positions. Same with Isaac Kush. Hilles up 4. Roscoe Arm is into the pit, so he's got damage from his lap 1 troubles, so he'll get that fixed. Through turn 1 come the midfield. Getting through the opening chicane with relative ease. Jack's closing in on ACW. Only 2/10 separating the two. BPV8 out in front. He's got an 8/10 margin tyre contrast. Through turn 6 and down towards the high-speed S's. Now this won't be particularly great for Jax because he'll be eating up all that dirty air coming off the AlphaTauri, but he maintains that gap pretty well, I have to say. The dirty air not really affecting him at all. Closing in, he's still got a fair bit of battery left. He hasn't spent too much on the opening couple of laps. Around the arena section. Very clumsy part to get. Ooh. Rip Bollard. Poor little Bollard. By contrast, sets fastest lap with an 18.2. He's going to try and close the gap to BPV8 as DRS is now enabled. DRS here tends to be pretty powerful. You've got 2 really long DRS zones between the final corner in turn 1 and between turns 3 and 4. The DRS zone between turns 11 and 12 can give you a slight sort of gain. It's nothing major, but it does make a small difference. Heading towards turn 4. Jack's had a little look. He's telling ACW, mate, I'm right here. And with DRS, he should be able to get by pretty easily on the next lap. Maybe even earlier if he wants to get a move on. But, the people at the front of the field are starting to gap one another. BP has opened up a 1.5 second margin. Jax is still right behind ACW, and Keeg, he's got a train of cars behind him. He's got Isaac Kush, Anthro, Hilles, all right behind. Keeg is going to be in a bit of trouble on the pit straight. He might be overtaken by a couple of cars on the next lap. We'll find out in just a moment. Here comes Jax though. DRS. Now, used a little bit of overtaking. Look at this. Absolutely slingshots by. Absolute ease. Here comes Isaac Kush. Anthro is closing in as well. Will he have a go into turn 1? You can see Keeg's light flashing. So he's quite low on battery already. And I think, if I remember what Mexico is like, it's very difficult to get battery back. Up towards turn 4. Not close enough. And that's Roscoe Arm. He's spun out and he's going into the pits. He'll be pretty disappointed, I'm sure. And he's retiring actually on lap 4. Not very Roscoe Arm like that is, but he's thrown in the towel. On lap 4:36, we've got a long, long way to go. But I'm sure he's quite disappointed with what happened on the first lap. After qualifying in 4th place, he and Ferrari Pro went all the way to the back of the field. Ferrari Pro has recovered to 11th. Credit to the Ferrari driver. He's making his way back towards the front. Jack setting the fastest lap now. He is closing in on Pump, Plevs, and Tinselman. Speaking of which, he's about to be passed here by Plevs. The McLaren into 3rd. There's not much Tinselman can do. He won't get DRS here between turns 3 and 4. Unfortunately, oh, hello. That's Ferrari Pro. He's lost it at turn 3. He shattered his front wing. All that hard work trying to recover positions. It's all gone. He's now back in 14th place and he has to do a whole tour of the circuit with a completely destroyed wing. Now, he was up here with Nick and Hilles, I'm pretty sure. Nick, your car looks okay. Hilles, your car looks pretty okay too. So, I think he might have done that by himself. So I'm not sure. Jack's overtaking Pump at the hairpin in the stadium section. A ballsy move, but he's through into 5th. Now Jaxie's right behind Tinselman. He'll have DRS. Tinselman low on battery. Pulls to the inside and through. Pump will try and follow as well. Down the inside into turn 1. They're side by side, and Pump doesn't really commit to the move. He could have really sent it there and took the position, but no, he wasn't too aggressive under brakes. And he stays in P6 for now. He's closing in. Will he go for it this time? He does. That's a bit better there. Nice and committed, dives deep in towards the apex. Tinselman tries to fight back, and Pump gives him room. They're side by side exiting turn 6, heading towards the S section. Turn 7, with Pump on the inside line. He was able to take 5th place back away from Tinselman. ACW is closing in on the back of this now. Exiting turn 11. Tinselman, you saw there, all 4 wheels over the white line. So he cops a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. ACW is right there now. Same with Isaac Kush. We got a 4-car train led by Pump 46 exiting the stadium section. Around the final corner, these drivers begin lap 7 of 36, and Izzat is right on the back of ACW. Can Izzat pass? Pulls out of the slipstream, draws alongside, has the inside line as well as Jax moves into 3rd place, and Izzat Kush wasn't able to make the move stick. So yeah, probably Jax had DRS, Plevs didn't. You can tell because the DRS flap isn't open there. So it would have been a fairly simple move from Jax. Or down the inside. Again, Pump leaves him room down towards the S's. Pump with the inside line. It's a carbon copy from the previous lap. Isaac Kush managed to get by ACW. ACW's lost a little bit of ground to the Red Bull. He'd be hoping to claw that back up. Through turn 12, up towards the hairpin. Is that a 3-second time penalty? Costly, just running wide at turn 12. Oh, hello. It looked like Tinselman was going for it. ACW right on the back of the Red Bull, trying to retake P7. Meanwhile, P7 is trying to go for P6. Here we go. Down the pit straight. It's 3 wide for a brief moment, and through goes Isaac Kush into 5th place. A double overtake with the power of DRS into turn 1. A simple move. I'm sure ACW, he would like to get by Pump as well. Pump basically a sitting duck with no DRS. That's how powerful it is. In the matter of 1 sector, Pump has lost 3 positions, all because of DRS. It's just how powerful it is in this game around this circuit. It's just unfortunate that Codemasters don't accurately represent the lack of air around the circuit. You see, the reason why there are 2 DRS zones with no DRS detection zone in between is because of the lack of air around the circuit. This circuit is about 2 kilometers above sea level, so the air is quite thin. So DRS doesn't really provide much assistance. So you need 2 zones in order to get anything out of it. But that isn't accurately represented in this game, so DRS here is a bit broken. Keeg is into the pits. Chucking on the medium tyre, and away he leads on lap 9 of 36. That's a bit early. Typically, you want to split the race up into 3 12-lap stints. That's typically the best way to go. Plevs is still right on the back of Jax too, so Plevs not giving up. Doing a good job. Minimizing mistakes. Still very much in touch. No, that's fair enough, Roscoe. You know. That's fair enough. When nothing's going your way, there's no point continuing, you know. I completely understand that. But hopefully these fellas put on a good show. Make our evening somewhat enjoyable. Oh, hello. Someone's coming into the pits. Tinselman! And he comes. Just a lap after Keeg. Medium tyres on the car and away he leaves. Nick closing in on Anthro. Closing in that little bit more, looking down the inside into turn 1. They're side by side through the right-hander into the left-hander of 2. And Anthro just backs out of it there. Lets Nick have the position. He'll pull away that little bit more because he'll have DRS here between turns 3 and 4. Gap increases to 4/10 entering turn 4. What a nice coincidence that is. Is that another penalty? I think that's now 6 seconds? 9 seconds for Is that? That's not good. Had a similar problem in Tier 1. Is that could have finished second if he didn't have as many penalties as they did. BP is into the pits. A race leader. Oh, so is Eye Contrast. Hello. Let's see. BP, it's a set of mediums. Same with Eye Contrast. So they're mirroring one another. This is just a pit glitch. He's not actually being held. Yeah. It's a nice little visual glitch that the spectator has. It's great. Good stuff. Nick and Anthro are into the pits too. So they're going to probably chuck on the medium tyre and send it in the middle stint. Try and really maximize that medium compound. It's really, really important here in Mexico that you maximize your medium stint. It's a stint that matters. Well, that was certainly the case in Pacific Tier 1 at the very least. Sector 3, yellow flags. That is... Oh, Ferrari Pro. I thought it might have been the Alpine. I got a bit nervous. It wasn't. It was Ferrari Pro at the final turn, just losing it. Though, I don't think he has any wing damage, so I don't think he hit a wall or anything like that. 7/10 separating the top two. Gonna do another lap. And I reckon they'll get off the medium tyre on this lap. I have a feeling. Keys got a penalty, 3 seconds next to his name. Plev's just keeping touch. He hasn't made any significant inroads to try and take the lead away from Jax as Anthro gets a penalty. He's just sort of stayed behind, sort of minded his own business and just let Jax do all the work. Currently it's working pretty well. They've got a 3.6 second margin to Izzat. So they're in their own little bubble. ACW, he's got a bit of pressure from Pump just behind him. He was on 11 lap old softs. He's doing a pretty solid job out there. Anthro and Nick just changing places there. Making the move at turn 1. Or rather just before turn 1. To be more accurate. Down towards turn 12. ACW's lights flashing, so he's low on battery. Auto Drive is struggling to keep charge in their batteries. They're going to do another lap. Interesting. I thought they'd come in this time around. Chuck on the soft tyre and absolutely send it up towards turn 1. Brings it through. Players right behind. I'm pretty sure he won't go for any sort of move. Not quite close enough, first of all. But I think he just wants to let Jax get on with it. Is that still hovering at about 3.6, 3.7 seconds? So at the very least, Izzat is matching the two in front. fact, he closed in quite a bit there. By about 2 or 3 tenths. But Izzat has 9 seconds worth of penalties. So Izzat's on the back foot in that regard. ACW and Pump behind in P4 and 5. Pump still shadowing ACW. Hilles, he's got a bit of company and he's got a 3-second time penalty with BPVA closing in. So Jax is in, Plevs is in. So they went a lap longer than what I thought. Izzat's in. ACW stays out. Hilles stays out. He doesn't want a double stack. Here comes BP. With the power of DRS down the pit straight. There's not much Hilles can do, unfortunately. And through goes BPV8 into 3rd place. Through the opening chicane. Could pull away that little bit more with the help of DRS and with the help of Hilles running very wide at the exit of turn 3. By contrast, he's lost a fair bit of ground to BP. The collective gap between High Contrast and BP, that's about 5.5 seconds, I reckon. So Contrast has lost time. Needs to find some of that time back. BP, a 3-second time penalty. We flicked to him ever so briefly when jumping back up to this battle. Probably just cut a corner through the S section. Got the penalty that way. Hello The Rock, welcome to the stream, hope you enjoy. ACW, that's a late dive into the pits. Would have run over where the bollard typically is. ACW, soft tyres at the ready. On they go. Hilles, same deal. Power side, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings down in P13. Field fairly spread out at the moment. Very spread out. Jack's closing in on High Contrast. Plebs trying to catch back up to Jack's. ACW getting a 3-second time penalty. Down in 8th place. Jack's closing in. Through the middle sector. Lovely curb cam there at turn 9. Through turns 10 and 11. The Alpine sitting right behind the Aston Martin. Heading towards the arena section. Around turn 12. And turn 13. We won't see any moves here. Jack won't get any advantage by diving it down the inside of the hairpin. Pump into the pits. Coming off the soft tyre. What will he pit onto? The set of mediums. Here comes Jack. Down the inside. A simple move. And he's into 2nd place. Really not much High Contrast can do. Through turn 1. He's got to close a 5.7 second gap. He's on fresher tyres. He's on the soft compound compared to BP on the set of mediums. As I mentioned just before the race, the soft tyre is so much quicker compared to the mediums and the hards. They are seriously, ridiculously fast. So I imagine Jack will be on the back of BP in no time soon. Plev's now starting to close in. Exiting turns 14 and 15. Around turn 16, the gap is under a second. Jack sets fastest lap, showing the raw pace of the soft tyre. Plevs, he has DRS and he'll be closing in on High Contrast. Running very low on battery. In fact, he's on the precipice of running out completely. There we are. He's at 0% just before the braking zone. So Plebs has pretty much used every resource he's had. And he's using up overtake still. Dear me. He's saving up just a little bit. Around the hairpin. He is right on the back of Contrast. But Contrast, all he needs to do is not make a mistake. He'll hang on through this section. You can see he just can't take the corners anywhere near as quickly as Plebs. Medium tyre is absolute rubbish compared to the soft tyre as Keeg has crashed out at turn 6. And we have a safety car. There he is there. So he's hit the outside barrier. There. Ooh. What an odd one. Will this camera shot show it? Yeah, just despawned then. So our first safety car. At pretty much the halfway mark. Set of medium tyres going on BP's car. He's trying to go to the end. Same with Jax. He's on a set of mediums. Plebs has stayed out. By contrast has come in for a set of mediums. Izzat's gone in for a set of mediums too. So a lot of drivers taking the advantage to pit now. Chuck on the mediums and go to the end. A couple of drivers on the softs. Tinselman, Hilles. They're both on the soft tyre, so they might be doing 2 stints. 2 soft tyre stints instead of 1 medium stint. Because I don't think they'll be able to get the softs to the end from here. I mean, they might. The tyre won't be incredibly competitive at the end. There we go. First crash on track, resulting in our first safety car. Neutralise the field a little bit. We got Plebs out in front on the softs. Here they're really revving the car out. Trying to dump as much fuel as he can. On the safety car, it's really easy to save a lot of fuel. By saving a lot of fuel, it increases the weight of the car. Add unnecessary weight, and that reduces speed. So, by revving the engine as much as you can, use as much fuel as possible. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about engine wear and that sort of stuff in online races. Otherwise, you definitely wouldn't be doing that. You don't necessarily have to worry about engine temperatures too much either. Yeah, well, we can probably get rid of the interval just ever so briefly. So we got 4 drivers on the soft tyre. We got Plebs, who is revving his engine there. Got BP on a set of mediums. Jax as well in P3. Both of them on fresh mediums as well. Brand new. Straight out of the garage. Pump is on 2 lap old mediums in P4. By contrast on fresh mediums in P5 is at P6. The same story. Same with HCW in 7th. Then we got Tinselman and Hilles on the soft tyre. Fresh soft tyre. Then we got Powerside in P10 on 7 lap old mediums. Bit surprised he didn't take the opportunity to pit for some fresh rubber, but there you are. Anthro P11 on a set of mediums. Nick P12 on a set of mediums. And Ferrari Pro at the back on the soft tyre. Not a bad call. It's aggressive, and because of how much quicker the soft tyre is, he'll have so much more pace compared to everybody else on the mediums. So he'll be able to get back some track position that he lost. But he'll either have to try get those soft tyres to the end, as the safety car is now in this lap. So that's a very late call there to bring the safety car in. Plebs has got no time at all to try and control the field, but it just shows you how broken this game can be. A bit of a car park heading towards the control line. We're back on the green flag racing, and what a restart from Jack. He caught both BP and Plevs napping. He's alongside the McLaren, heading towards turn 1. Here we go. It's almost 3 wide with BP trying to go down the inside, but Plevs hangs on around the outside at turn 1. Exiting turn 3 now. Jax is still right behind Plevs. Still trying to challenge for position. We got sector 1 yellow flags. That is Anthro who has spun out towards turn 4. Come the midfield. Everybody trying to get through while also trying to make up a few positions on the restart. Around turn 6. Down towards the high-speed S section through turn 7, 8, turn 9 with curb cam. Then through turns 10 and 11. Everybody gets through. Relatively okay. In the background though, a bit of squabbling. There's a group here. Down towards turn 12. Pump and Tinselman side by side towards the hairpin. Oh, and a bit of an awkward run around the hairpin in the stadium section. Around the final 2 corners. They'll complete a fairly hectic restart lap. Here comes Hilles. He is right behind ACW. Heading towards turn 1. Will he pull out? He will. Looking down the inside. He has to send it. And he does so. ACW doesn't really fight around the outside either. He knows he can't on those tyres. He lets Hilles through. Probably try and follow him as best he can. Try and use the McLaren as a battering ram. Try and claw his way up the table. Though he does have a bit of trouble behind with 2 Ferraris on soft compound tyres. Right behind him. Exiting the hairpin a bit wide. Down towards the S's. Through he goes. There's some tight margins here. By contrast, just 2/10 behind the Red Bull of Isaac Kush towards turn 12. Not close enough to attack, but he is right on his gearbox. Around turn 13 through 14 and 15. Hilles is on the back of this too. DRS is now enabled. Adds another spice into the mix. Got drivers on different strategies, on different age tyres, and now DRS is enabled. Exiting turn 3. High contrast. Not really in a position to attack. Might be a bit too worried about the McLaren behind on those soft tyres. Heading towards the high-speed S section. 2 Ferraris very close together. They'll be planning to chop their way through. By contrast, has lost time. BP's got a penalty. Hilles has got DRS and he closes in. Not by enough to attack though. What about the top 3? All of them pretty close together on track. Izzat isn't too far behind in 4th place either. He won't have DRS though. But BP and Jack will. Down the pit straight. Towards turn 1. BP is closing in on the Alpine. Getting sucked along. Down the pit straight. Not close enough to attack though. Oh, Jack very, very close indeed. Hilles overtakes High Contrast for P5. Makes a fairly simple move there. And again, not quite close enough. Jack can't pass Plevs. BP can't get a run on Jax. The 2 Ferraris change places. Tinselman's into P8. Anthro's got a 3-second time penalty. Around turn 6 come the midfield. Nick overtakes Powerside for P11. Down towards the high-speed S section. Tinselman is right on the back of ACW. Can't really do much though. You'll be sucking up all that dirty air. Losing downforce. Keeping it well within the white lines. His teammate right behind in his wing mirrors. They head into turn 12. Oh, and Ferrari Pro is close, very close. Alright, let's have another go. Oh, Jax might not be close enough. 6/10 behind. That's a lot of time to claw back. Plevs darts around on the straight to try and break the toe, but here comes Jax. My goodness. The sheer power of DRS on display here as BP try and forces the issue into turn 3. Now Jax needs to pull away. BP can't pass Plevs either. Even though Plevs didn't have DRS down that straightaway, BP lost too much momentum through the opening chicane. And as a result, he stays in third. Ferrari Pro and Tinselman change places again for P8 and 9. Heading through the high-speed S's once again. Plevs not losing too much ground. Heading into the arena section. Half a second separating the top two. Through the slow stadium section. Exiting the final corner, the gap has increased to almost 7/10. Plevs will close that gap with the power of DRS. BP will try and follow as best he can. High contrast overtakes Gilles. Gilles in a bit of trouble here. No DRS as Plevs retakes the lead. Here comes ACW. Oh, I thought he was going to go for it. He didn't end up going for it. Oh, hello. Down towards turn 4. A battle for the lead. BP. Oh, and Izzat's involved in this too. It's now a 4-way fight at the front. Jackson is at a side-by-side into turn 5. Contact there, but nothing major coming from that. Around turn 6 they go. Down towards the high-speed S's again. Oh, and Izzat passes Jax, who made a mistake. Exiting the hairpin. Ferrari Pro has gotten by ACW. It's all happening here, folks. I have absolutely no idea where to look at this time, because there's action going on left, right and centre. Into the arena section come the leaders, with Plevs out in front, only just owed by just under half a second. Izzat gets within 1 second, so he'll get DRS on this lap. And into the pits goes Plevs, our race leader. So he comes in, he'll be chucking on another set of soft compound tyres. Down the pit straight towards turn 1. Ferrari Pro and Gilles change places. Gilles doesn't have DRS at his disposal. Here comes ACW down the inside into turn 1, commits to it as well. They're side by side heading into turn 2. They're still side by side through turn 3. ACW gets out in front. Gilles gets drive though out to turn 3. It's a drag race, contact there. Into turn 4 we go. Tinselman gets involved as well. Oh, it's side by side through turn 4. Into turn 5. Contact, more contact there between all 3 cars. Into turn 6, HCW finds himself in P6. My goodness me. Down towards the S's again. Don't think anyone got damage from those small bits of contact, I think. Tinselman's lost ground though. Oh, he might actually have damage here. He's losing time. Yeah, I think he does have damage. He's getting out of the way here of Pump. He's going into the pits for sure. Though his front wing looks relatively okay. But as a spectator, you can't see those little bits of damage. Tinselman, a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Another penalty next to his name. As he and Gilles go into the pit, so both cars getting damage there. Into turn 1. Jack putting Izzat under a bit of pressure. Exiting turn 3. Uses overtake, opens DRS. Closes in. Izzat's running low on battery. Towards turn 4. The big send from Jax, but can't get it done. Didn't have enough momentum. Wasn't quite close enough. Oh, gets a good drive out of turn 5 though. Ooh, and Izzat leaves the door half open. Sort of runs wide there. Forced out wide by Jax just a little bit. Through turn 7. Oh, the back end was stepping out a little bit there. See the car just skidding about at turn 7. Through Ooh, that was a bit of lag there. Put my heart in my mouth right there. I thought he lost it for the briefest of moments. But no, that was just lag. High contrast is now in this too. Less than half a second behind Jax. BP's trying to pull away out in front. He's got a 1.4 second margin. Izzat is closing the gap though. Doesn't have DRS at his disposal. Still showing he's got a fair bit of straight line speed in that Red Bull. Plev sets fastest lap. He's in P8, 8.6 seconds behind Pump, as Izzat gets another 3-second penalty, increasing their tally to 12 seconds. I'm pretty sure. 15 seconds. Oh my goodness. Izzat, you really need to work on track limits with this place, mate. My goodness. It's the same stuff in Tier 1, and it's costing you. Currently P2, with 15 seconds worth of penalties, gonna drop a lot of places. Lovely curb cam there, turn 9. Have to say, with Mexico, brings some of the better camera shots out of all the circuits on the calendar. Like, look at this, lovely shot. Just looking forward and back on the circuit. A nice stationary camera. Through the arena section here, it's pretty nice. And the leaderboard doesn't cover up too much of the racetrack here. The cameras are well enough placed that the leaderboard doesn't get too involved and block some of the action. Tinselman, a 3-second time penalty as Jax is closing in. Towards turn 1 we go. Doesn't go for the overtake, just stays behind Izzat for now. Just stays behind. Power sight. Jack's teammate getting a 3-second time penalty. Jack is closing in. Will he go for the send this time around? No. Just stays behind again. Gonna play a more patient game. Wait for the right moment to strike. Ferrari Pro finds himself in 5th place on the soft tyre too. He's put himself into a really nice position. That's a nice looking helmet, a Formula 1 Esports Series helmet. There you go. That's a nice one there on Jax's head. Coming around the penultimate corner. And then the final corner of Peraltada. And that's Tinselman out of the race. He's crashed out. That's well after turn 6. And we have a safety car. There's his Ferrari. Now, how have you done that? He's glitched through a DHL board as well. So he's out. Our 3rd retirement. Our 2nd crash on track. And our 2nd safety car. This will spice things up. But drivers coming in to pit for soft tyres. They have to. Gotta come in and pit for softs. They are just that much quicker. Penalties are going to play a massive part in this race now. A huge part in this race. Because we're only going to have a few laps under green flag racing. There's the Mercedes safety car waiting. See it here, coming up to it. Green light on top means that you pass the safety car. Hope everybody here knows that. There's a green light shown on top of the safety car, means you pass it. If it's a yellow light, you stay behind it. Simple. Though you would be surprised how many people don't know that. Into the pits. Surely everybody comes in. Yeah, everybody's going to come in. And that's a 5-second. Here's that. You've already got 15 seconds for warnings. You've now got 20 seconds. Ferrari Pro on a set of soft tyres. Man, hasn't he benefited by pitting onto the soft tyre at the first safety car restart. Finds himself in 5th place out of absolutely nowhere. Finds himself in 5th place. No penalties as well. One of 4 drivers who doesn't have a penalty. The other 3, well, 2 of them are in front with Jack in contrast. The other one, Plevs in P8. Right. So who's going to win this? Well, basically everybody should be on the same tyre. For some reason Anthro's on a set of mediums. I think even if you have worn softs, you're far better off with like qualifying worn softs. They are just that much quicker compared to a set of mediums. Genuinely. Even if they're slightly worn, better off to go with it. Right. So we'll get rid of the interval. We don't need that. What we do need is penalties. We need to have a look. So, current race leader, BPV8, has got 6 seconds worth of pens. Isaac Kush in P2 has got 20 seconds worth of pens. By far and away the most out of any driver on the grid right now. Jax, Eye Contrast, and F1 Ferrari Pro, all of them don't have any penalties in P3, 4 and 5. If they can keep it within the white lines for however many laps we've got left when we go back on the green flag racing, that could be 1, 2 and 3 at the end of the race. We'll have to wait and see. ACW 6 seconds in P6 and Pump 46, he's on 3 seconds worth of penalties in P7. Plebs in P8 with no pens. Then we got Nick in P9 with 3 seconds. Anthro in P10 with 6 seconds. Hilles in P11 with 3 seconds. And then we've got Powersight. Got a bit of catching up to do. He's in P12 with 6 seconds. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers with 6 seconds. We've got 1, 2, 3 cars with 3 seconds. And then we've got 1 Isaac Kush. In terms of penalties, Jack's Eye Contrast Ferrari Pro, no pens next to their name. Right, this is going to be a fairly interesting contest. How desperate will everyone be? I suppose we'll have to find out, won't we? See there, that's made up 12 places. He's going to lose a lot of places with the time penalties. Jack's up 9. Another big mover is Hilles up 4 after starting from last. After crashing out in qualifying. A couple of drivers moving up 1 position. A few drivers moving down 2 positions. Some drivers in the same position compared to where they qualified. Safety car in this lap. It's another late call from the safety car. As Powersight joins the train late. There goes the virtual burn mainlander back into the pits. It's up to BPV8 to restart this race, and away he goes. And look at ACW, what a restart from ACW. It's 3 wide, heading down towards turn 1. Contrast, ACW, Ferrari Pro. It's a drag race. Who's winning it? ACW with the inside line. Ferrari Pro tries to go down the inside, sends it as well. Oh, I don't think there's any contact between the two. Well, I think they kept it clean. Oh, hard to tell. That's contact, though. Spinning is Pump. He's fallen down to 12th. Some more restart drama. Oh, Jax trying to fight with Izzat here. They're side by side through turn 5. Running wide is Izzat. Around turn 6 they go. Izzat trying to fight around the outside, trying to find the drive. Just can't do it. Jax is into 2nd place. Through the high-speed S's we go. Through turns 10 and 11. And for a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Pump, I saw that as well. His tally's increased to 6 seconds. Anthro up to 9. Around the final 2 corners on the racetrack. The leader begins lap 34 of 36 here in Mexico. It is 3 laps to go. Is that right in the slipstream, closing in. He's got to run. Down the inside he looks. He's in front. Jax tries to fight around the outside. Izzat shuts the door though. Gets that second place back. BP pulls away just ever so slightly. Towards turn 4. Leaders get through it. Then we got this train of cars led by Eye Contrast. Ferrari Pro just behind. Same with ACW in Plebs. Now in P7. If he can get in front of Ferrari Pro, he's in for a chance for a podium. Jax still behind Izzat by 0.3 of a second. BP has opened up the margin to 1.2. They head through turn 12 and into the arena section once again. Exiting it now. Everyone between P2 down to P7. They're within 1 second of the car in front, although High Contrast has just jumped outside that. Just then. In the slipstream, closing in. At least trying to. The gap's still hovering at about 0.4. Not closing in by enough. By contrast, he has Ferrari Pro. Oh, looking down the inside. Can't quite get P4. Not just yet. He will get DRS soon. BP still out in front, still pulling away. Is that still hanging on to second place even with the 20 seconds worth of penalties? Through the S's. Jax keeping up, closing in. By contrast, still leading the train. We'll have Ferrari Pro closing in with DRS. Jax doesn't use any DRS there. Kept his wing shut. Can Contrast get within 1 second? If he can, that will be a massive help. I think he has. He might be able to keep Ferrari Pro at bay. But here we go. We're on the final lap here in Mexico City. Here comes here comes Jax. A simple move. He retakes second place, which might be the overall victory. Here comes Ferrari Pro looking down the inside into turn 1. Can't commit to a move. High Contrast just carried too much speed into turn 1. And the Ferrari just couldn't dive down the inside. Towards turn 4 we go. High Contrast still hanging on. Around turn 5. Then turn 6. Jack's now pulling away from High Contrast. He's got this race in the bag so long the Alpine driver doesn't make any mistake. Oh, and Izzat's made a mistake. He's dropped down through the order, down to 5th. And here comes Ferrari Pro. Can he go for it? No. And I don't think he'd be able to go for a move here in the arena section either. High Contrast just might hang on here to what could be second place. BPVA will cross the line in first, but it'll be another win for Jax in this championship. He's pretty much dominated in. High Contrast finishes in second place, and Ferrari Pro recovers after his lap 1 incident. He recovers to a podium finish in third place. Driver of the day, who gets it? Jax. Went from outside the top 10 in 12th, if I recall, to take another win. He'll extend his points lead over High Contrast. These two finishing 1-2 once again, with Ferrari Pro finishing on the podium. A great recovery from the Ferrari driver. There we are. Jax coming up from 12th to 1st with fastest lap 2. My goodness me. Dude's hard to beat. This will be win number 9 in the championship. Out of 11 rounds, he's won 9 of them. Eye Contrast finishing in second again. This will be their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1-2 finish between the two. And Ferrari Pro in third. I believe that's his first podium as well. It is his first podium. Then we got BP Players, ACW, Nick, Hillers, Power Sight, and then Pump rounding out the top 10. Oh, dearie me. Certainly an ending. Certainly an ending. There we go. Nice end to a fairly nice race overall. There were definitely bits and pieces that had nothing, but you get that every so often, especially when you hit the mid phase of the race where everybody's sort of by themselves. But with the help of a couple of safety cars, we definitely had an entertaining ending to this Mexican Grand Prix. As I said, win number 9 for ACW, and this will be the 6th 1-2 finish between Jax and Eye Contrast in this championship. It's quite remarkable how consistent they've been towards the top. It really shows why they're the only 2 realistic protagonists in this championship. It was certainly quite fun. A nice way to spend a Sunday evening. And I think with everything wrapped up, we can finally end the stream. Tune in next Tuesday as the Pacific Regional Series starts up another week of racing here on Race Spec Esports. But for the Elite Series, we'll have to wait until next Sunday. Until then, I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you for round 12 at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Going to be a very long race. Hope to see you all there. But until then, it's goodbye.